All right.
We
Well,
shall see. Hopefully, I like it.
let's see.
I'm gonna grab a glass of water. I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll see you in a few. All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the social media mastermind. Do me a favor, and I know we don't have a lot of people, but I still needed some participation. If you can see my screen, please type yes in the chat. If you cannot, please type no. And actually, most of you should be typing no because I don't have anything up. All right, so you should see there are two screens. We're taking advantage of two screens today. On the Aaron is going to be our guest presenter today. Paula couldn't make it, so Aaron is going to do a presentation on the 1 year plan. And he'll tell you more about that when we get into it. But Aaron is, I consider him a mentor and a coach of mine, and he's going to teach you some awesome stuff on how to run your real estate business. That being said, we have about 17 people right now. I need, if in the chat, you should see a blue screen. And if you can see that blue screen, type yes, please, so I can make sure you see me. You're following along. Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you. So, welcome to our social media mastermind. We have this class every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here in the EXP World and the Productivity Center. Before we get started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm your host. I'm from the Philadelphia area. And actually, before I do that, see, look, I'm thrown off today, y'all, because my account has been locked out for like the past few days. Um, I am here with my lovely co-host, Beth Ellen. Beth Ellen, could you please introduce yourself?
Welcome back, Jerome. EXP is not the same without you.
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
And I look forward to Aaron and learning lots, even though this is my 43rd year in business. There's so much more to learn. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Beth Ellen. So, to continue, my name is Jerome Lewis. I'm in the Philadelphia area. I like to consider myself to be a serious but silly millennial. I also consider Beth Ellen actually coined or started calling me this technologist. So I'm pretty good with tech. That means I help you get through the aggravation and the frustrations of tech. And I am also an introvert. I like to bring that up because I understand some people identify with that label. And I like to bring it up so you can understand that you don't have to be some amazing extrovert to have success in your real estate business. Next, I love the DISC behavioral personality / personality assessments. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I want you to understand me and my delivery. A little bit about me. I am a high D, high C, and when you combine those two, that makes me an implementer. That means I'm very results oriented. So I like to help you get to the bottom line as soon as possible, and I'm also very detailed. Next, I am a real estate investor, so I focus primarily on real estate investing, and I do some retail here and there, but I like to mostly buy real estate properties. And then, as you all know, because I'm here hosting you today, I'm also an instructor. And if you want to learn a little bit more about me, you can find out more by visiting jeromelewis.com. All right, so next, this is our social media mastermind. We have this class every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and typically we have a rotating schedule, and sometimes our schedule changes because depending on the speakers or depending on something happening. But normally, the way it works is normally on the first week of the month, the first Thursday of the month, we do Facebook marketing, and I'm usually your host or your instructor for that class. Anything around Facebook marketing. Normally on week 2, we would host Paula Aponte, but this week we're going to have Aaron Foster. And again, like I told you, I consider him a mentor to me, and he's going to show you a strategy called the 1 year real estate plan. I threw that in there, but Aaron's going to show you the importance of having that plan. And then week 3. So week 3, we have been struggling a little bit with our instructor, but for week 3, I have a special guest coming in to teach you all about Canva and branding. So next week, we'll learn all about how we can use Canva and how to brand ourselves with Canva. Week 4, we have been consistent. Jaime is going to come in and he's going to show us all about how we can use YouTube to generate business to generate. He's going to show us how we can use YouTube and YouTube marketing to generate business for our real estate business. And then week 5, I believe we have a week 5. We are going to have open questions and answers or open workshop. All right, so these are some tips to get the most out of this training. I will not be your primary speaker or your primary host for today, but these are still some very relevant tips for you to get the most out of this training. And tip number 1, the first tip I want to suggest to you is take screenshots. When the teacher is speaking, I want you to be taking notes, but also feel free to take screenshots of the presentation and take screenshots of the conversations that may take place in the chat. More. So we have a few resources for you, and I'll put them in the chat after I'm done presenting. But one of the things I want to suggest to you is, if to get the most out of these trainings, you want to be engaged and you want to be involved. So make sure you're engaging and involving, chatting with your colleagues and chatting with the presenter and the speakers. Next, I have a YouTube channel, and we post some of these trainings there, as well as a Facebook group. So sometimes people are like, sometimes people miss those trainings. So sometimes they're on YouTube and sometimes they're within the Facebook group. So I'm going to post those 2 links. And if you're interested in those past trainings and also future trainings, you can join that YouTube as well as that Facebook group. That being said, that's enough of me talking. I am Aaron. Are you there?
Yes, I am,
Aaron
sir.
is there.
Can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can hear you. So welcome everybody to this is our week 2. We normally do Instagram, but today we're going to do the 1-year real estate plan. Aaron is going to teach us all about how we can use this 1-year real estate plan in our business. I'm excited because, again, I consider Aaron as a mentor of mine, and I'm excited because he has some slides today. Normally he does we do a great mastermind, which he hosts. He'll tell you about weekly on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, but he's going to show us how we can use a 1-year real estate plan in our business. And I'm excited. Keep saying I'm excited, but Aaron, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jerome, for inviting me here today. And it was an awesome time chatting with everybody last go around, and I'm happy to be back and hope to be back again in the future, maybe on something different, completely different. But today we're going to talk about the 1-year plan. Because I think it's really crucial. First of all, it's the right time. It's the right time right now to talk about it. It's also the, it's going to be the beginning of 2022, starting in January 1. The good part about the 1-year plan is it doesn't matter when you start it. It's just if you have to implement it. So I'm gonna walk you through what that 1-year plan is, give you some good ideas, and really help you solidify what your kind of focus and target is for the upcoming year. Because I think it's very, very important, because I see so many agents. I mean, the real estate market has an 80% dropout failure rate within the first 2 years. And I want to make sure that you guys aren't another statistic. Okay, so I want to give you a tool and a plan to kind of move forward and things like that to make 2022 the best year. Now, I'm going to teach for probably the next 15-20 minutes here, and then so hold all your questions to the end, and then we'll have Q&A as long as we possibly need at the end to make sure we get everybody's questions answered, any ideas, any other questions outside of what we talked about today answered, because I work, I've been spending 25 years in the digital space, so I have a lot of different things that I understand and know about, and so if you would get a tablet of paper and get 2 pieces of paper out, and maybe just a tablet, because you're going to definitely want to take some notes, and then maybe a second piece of paper off to the side so you can jot whatever questions you have that come along the way, so you can make sure you keep all those in one place ready to rock and roll for us as we go along. All right. Is everybody ready? Go ahead and talk in the chat. If you got your pieces of paper, your notebook, your pen, or whatever, ready to get rock and roll. If you guys are good to go, I'm ready to go. Awesome. Here we go. So first of all, here's a little bit about me. My name's Aaron Foster. I've been a real estate agent for 7 years. Been with EXP now for over 3. I also teach a Wednesday class, Wednesday 11 a.m. in the morning, and in the EXP University Conference Hall 1, we do a digital marketing mastermind every Wednesday from 11 to noon. It's going to be completely different than what I'm doing today. Today, I'm actually, for the first time in my life, have slides, and we'll walk through the slides. On those Wednesdays, we don't have slides. We just have a general conversation and discussion around digital marketing. You're able to get help and strategies around digital marketing and things like that. So it's every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time in the EXP University Conference Hall 1, as far as that goes. I'm also the founder of Digital Mayors. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. And the CEO of Savvy House Hunting, which is a digital house hunting platform, and soon to be marketing automation and all kinds of other stuff on top of that. So it's an all-in-one platform to do that type of stuff. Won't be talking a whole lot about that today, so that doesn't really matter. All right, so here we're going to officially talk about the one-year plan. And as we look at this one-year plan, this is really kind of a funnel because this is how we're going to get your one-year plan going. So if you want to just draw a funnel, I'll give you about 5 seconds to draw a funnel out on your piece of paper with the 5 different steps. And we'll fill them in as we go, and you can take notes off the side or whatever you want to do. See if we can talk about that. All right, put in the chat when you got your funnel drawn. Prettiest funnel doesn't get a prize. Yes, okay. Melissa's ready to go. Fantastic. I bet it looks fantastic, Melissa. All right, Levi's ready to go. Boom, boom, boom. Awesome. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, the first point we're going to talk about on the one-year plan is a target market. I want you to really spend some time picking a target market, okay? So you might ask yourself, like, what is a target market? That means like maybe a certain area of town. For me, it's located in a county. For you, it might be a city. For some of you in bigger cities, it might be a couple neighborhoods. Whatever that town is, you can say your farm area. So if you're farm area and you're doing like door-to-door stuff, or you're doing mailers, it might be, a 4-block radius. If might be doing like digital farming, you can afford to go a little bit wider. You could go like, say, citywide or suburb wide or whatever, that type of stuff, because it's a lot cheaper to hit that market. But I want you to pick one market area, farm area. Okay, so one target market, farm area, okay, that you would do. So type in the chat if you know what your farm area or your digital farm area or market area that you know for sure right now. Type in the chat box, even if we don't know what the name of it is. If it's like Johnson suburb 509 area code, perfect. Folsom Ranch neighborhood, awesome. Have no clue where that is. Zip code 89012, perfect. Mountains Edge, Crystal Ridge, perfect. Fort Worth, Texas. Chico, Bar C, that's my kind of people. Glenda, Yorkville and Toronto. We got a couple area codes. Folsom, okay. All right. But Levi, I would even challenge you on that Fort Worth, Texas. It's going to be a little bit hard to dominate like a huge city like that versus like, say, a suburb of Fort Worth might be. Flagstaff, Arizona, awesome. Saratoga Springs, okay, perfect. So, so you guys can have it pretty much for the most part. Many of you guys have great, kind of target market areas or farms, whether you be doing it in person or whether you do it digital. You guys have pretty specific markets, and that's good because that's going to help you out. It's going to help you dominate, your marketing and stuff like that. Now, the other thing you guys got to do, how many of you guys know, Maggie, we're getting to that right now. In fact, that's a good segue. How many of you guys know, who do you guys work with? Who's your ideal client? Anybody know who your ideal client is? Because I would say 80% of all agents are going to say anybody that can qualify for a mortgage. Okay, no. Buyers is not it. Luxury buyers, no. Residential home buyers, no. Cash buyer, no. Investors, no. Law enforcement, yes. Seniors, yes. 250, 300K home range, not really. Military, yes. Teachers, yes. Teachers, police union, yep, yes, Maggie. Okay. Divorcees. Okay. All right. Hispanic. I would be careful of that just because of fair housing laws. First-time home buyers, self-employed, remote workers, military moves, and seniors. Yes, yes, yes. Millennials. Yes. Okay. So you guys, for most of you guys, you have a general idea who your ideal buyer is. Ideal clients are, whether they're, what types of people they are. It's either they're seniors, military, teachers, police officers, government employees, that type of stuff. That's really good. But I want to really change your mindset into digging deeper because, it's really hard to. I want you to niche that down even further because it's really hard to dial in your marketing when you're marketing to the brand new first time school teacher and the teacher that's been teaching for 40 years. Okay. Because the platforms and the marketing that you're doing to someone like my parents, who probably are on their way of downsizing, is going to be completely different than 25 or 30-year-old me buying their first home. It's also going to be different than me, at 43 with a family and need an actual home and, in certain schools, and things like that. So I would even encourage you to dig it down a little bit deeper than that. So you can say, hey, so for me, I predominantly market to those that are basically 30 to 50 years old, usually families, 30, 50-year-old families, typically, couple kids in elementary, middle school, or high school. They're not grown on yet, and that type of stuff. Maybe they're involved in family activities, involved in that type of stuff. So I kind of pretty much know like where my sweet spot is. Does that mean if I have a couple of seniors that want to downsize and they call me to help them look for a home, that I'm not going to do that? No. Does that mean I'm going to start, marketing to seniors on the outside when I know this is my ideal market? No. So we want to make sure we're just really focusing in on our ideal markets. Okay. And sorry, not our ideal markets, but our ideal client avatars, and really spend all of our marketing time, money, and dollars in those areas. And if you get the trickling effect or referrals here or there that don't fit like your ideal, not saying you can't, help them out, but at the same time, it's just not something you want to, because when you're spreading your dollars that thin, you're going to end up just wasting your time treading in mud, and you're not going to get anywhere. Okay. The other thing to do as well, if it's not necessarily in your ideal market, something to consider is if it's not in your ideal client avatar or not exactly down your lane, is potentially just referring out. Take your 25% referral fee and let somebody that specializes in that area do it. I can't count on one hand how many times I've heard of residential real estate agents trying to dip their toes into commercial. Man, that is a completely different bad boy. But I also know as a residential agent, you can get a really nice commission from a commercial agent if you push that referral. Okay. So, so you just got to make sure that you're staying in your lane and staying in your zone and going after it. All right. Number 2, one product. Can you have more than one ideal client? Say you have 2 distinct ones. Yeah, you could have more than one ideal client. I would hope that those 2 ideal clients would be in like the same similar bracket, because again, if you're doing luxury marketing and first-time home buyers, like those people hang out probably two different places. One hangs out at the country club, and one is trying to just put their kids into daycare. So your marketing is going to be a whole lot different. So you can, but it's going to cost you probably a little bit more and take you a little more time. So, okay, one product. So how many agents do you say? I asked who, when you talk about who your ideal client is, I say, who do you work with? Oh, I work with buyers, sellers. I do land, I do commercial, I do new construction and investments. And I'm like, no, there's no way you can possibly market yourself as all those things and be successful. Okay, pick one product and go after it. How many new agents do we have in here? Anybody new agent in here? Me, new August. Me. Yes, less than a year. Me, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna say something completely unpopular right now, It may offend a couple people, but it's okay. But new agents should truly only focus on buyers, because buyers will be the quickest way for you to get a paycheck. Okay, not saying you can't get listings, not saying you can't get new construction, but buyers are going to be your quickest way to a paycheck as a new agent. Okay, because you can go out and get 4 or 5 buyers before you get your first listing. New agents, how many of you can afford to wait for a paycheck for 9 months? Nobody, not many of you can. No, you couldn't have your first paycheck. If you're not willing to wait for your first paycheck for 9 to 12, 9 to 18 months, depending on supply chain issues, then guess what? New construction probably isn't right for you either, because that's a process. And you're basically, yes, you're probably making a little bit more than you would on a resale, but the same amount of time frame, you could sell 3, 4, 5 different resales. Okay? And things like that. Yeah, Gary Keller would totally disagree, because the money's in listings. I get it. The money is in the listings, because typically a listing will lead to a buyer, so you get 2 sides, this and that, whatever, maybe 3 sides. I get it. In theory, that's really good, but I've also seen a lot of agents get discouraged and leave the business because they're broke and hungry. So this is an opportunity for you not to be broke and hungry. All right, so figure out one product to focus on. Okay, so we buy buyers, sellers, land, commercial. Find something, and Jerome does investors. Figure out something. Okay. Then the next thing is, I want you to have one conversion tool. All right, one conversion tool. Aaron, what's a conversion tool? You need to have something to invite people to. Okay, maybe that's a first-time home buyer seminar that you run every month. Maybe it's a webinar, an online home buyer seminar. Maybe it's an event. Maybe it's a happy hour. Maybe it's educational seminars. Maybe it's something you have to be able to invite people to, and something that you can do at least 4 times a year, preferably monthly, but 4 times a year. Because if you need to meet a new stranger and you want to invite them to something without quote selling them, you need to have something to do that. Okay, always have something to invite them to. So one conversion tool, and then of course one traffic source. Okay, this is kind of a controversial one for some people because they don't believe me, but I can usually prove them wrong for the most part. I want you to pick one traffic source. So maybe your thing is Facebook, maybe your thing's Instagram, maybe Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube, whatever that one thing is. This thing's going wonky on me. One traffic source. So whatever your thing is, I want you to go after that one traffic source. But Aaron, what about my, I have Facebook ads, I have Instagram, I have TikTok, I have YouTube. Like, yeah. And then when somebody asks me that, I say, let me guess, you suck at all of them. And well, okay. Then I go look at stuff, and yes, you suck at all of them. Okay. Because truly, if you want to be awesome at YouTube, and the guys and gals that I see that are awesome at YouTube, it's darn near a full-time job. It's darn near a full-time job. If you're doing it correctly, if you're, doing keyword research, if you're doing, your descriptions and your tags, and you're writing your scripts, and you're editing, and you're posting, and your distribution, and this and that, whatever, it's darn near a full-time 20 to 40 hour a week job. Okay. If you're doing Facebook right, it's darn near a full-time job. No, I'm not talking about the one post you make on your personal site, on your personal page that says, please buy or sell with me. I need some buyers or sellers now. I'm looking for a home. No. It's like, if you're doing Facebook right, you're doing Facebook groups, you're doing Facebook ads, you're doing Facebook pages, you're doing Messenger, you might be doing Reels. You're doing a little hodgepodge of everything, but you're stuck in Facebook. You're not going to go make TikTok videos. Okay? Now, the one thing I will turn around to this and say, swing this around a little bit and say is, make sure your traffic source meets up with your market and your ideal client. Okay? let me describe that for just a second. If you're somebody that, I saw somebody in there that deals with seniors. If you're someone that deals with seniors, like my parents, they're looking to downsize, but your one traffic source that you're going to work on in 2022 is TikTok, you're going to be broke and hungry very soon. Because guess what? My mom and dad are not on TikTok.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you totally because I'm about to have my 42nd, 29th birthday. I love TikTok, and almost everybody I deal with is a TikTok person. And I think that if you're going to get to seniors and you're the only senior on TikTok, you're going to have a whole lot more people because that's the stereotype. I don't think that is true.
Yeah. Well, you're always in that same perception can be held on a lot of platforms. Like for instance, my mom has an Instagram account. She doesn't use it. She just lurks.
Corey, excuse me, Aaron. Please mute.
Oh, okay. I had some feedback to that too. I was just gonna say I'm 52. I'm on TikTok.
But
no
problem.
None of my friends are. So
yeah, that's okay. Let's discuss this at the end when Aaron's finished. We'll discuss. We'll discuss it.
We're wrapping up here in a few minutes. There's always the exception to the rule, and there's always there's always the exception to the rule. But just the majority, if you just look at the demographics of the various social media platforms, the primary isn't, when we're talking about niching and focusing in a certain area, the largest amount of your people are probably not going to be there if you're a senior. Now, I'm not saying there would be some, not saying there is some, somebody that might be lurking, but as far as like the number of people making videos or doing content or whatever, yeah, that's relatively true in that sense. But yes, yep, exactly. Exceptions to every rule. Correct. All right, and then finally, so just make sure you match up your market to your market. Again, if you're one thing, you're one thing and whatever, that type of deal. And then most importantly, 1 year. I see so many agents that sit here and dabble, and I'm doing a little bit of Facebook, I'm doing a little bit of YouTube, I'm doing a little bit of Facebook ads, whatever. And I work with buyers. Did you work with sellers this year? Yeah, I worked with sellers. I tried marketing to sellers. Well, how long did you do it? I did it for a month. It didn't work. No, you've got to make the commitment. You've got to make the commitment for a year. Okay, commit to what your marketing strategy is, or your one thing, or your one traffic source, one platform, one thing for a year, and really go all out before you can say that's not for me, or it's not working for me, or I need to find a different strategy. Because I see so many agents do it for 2 or 3 weeks and then they give up. Okay? And the other thing I'll say, most agents fail because they don't have consistency in their activities. Okay? Be consistent. If you're going to go on YouTube, consistently post like once a week on the same day of the week, every single week. Okay? We had a gentleman in my class yesterday. He goes on Clubhouse, and his is for agent recruitment, but he goes on Clubhouse legitimately every single day at noon. He's been doing it now for a month or so, and he gathers agents on Clubhouse. It's kind of an open forum Q&A discussion, whatever it is, I think, every day at noon. Be consistent about it. And this will help you with your focus, is your consistency. And most importantly, time block it. Is 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesdays my most favorite time of the week, that I don't have anything else going on that time? No, not necessarily, but I know that I've time blocked in that I'm teaching my class in EXP at Wednesday at 11 a.m. And I've literally changed leaving town to go out of town for vacation, or I've taken a computer with and done it on the road, so I can make sure I'm consistently there every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. And I've done that for 2.5 years now. And the most important one, and the reason that a lot of agents fail, is they don't do this one thing, which is they don't content batch. For those of you guys that do like interviews or stuff like that, like let's say you have like a little podcast or whatever like that, it's easier to sit down and record 4 20-minute shows in a couple of hours than it is to every Monday remember to record a show so you can release it on Tuesday, because you won't do it. You'll most likely fail. If you're going to do YouTube and you want to do 4 videos a month, knock them all out in a day, be done with it for the month. Okay. and you can plan that content out months or weeks in advance, so you stay ahead of it, so you don't fail on the consistency of your activities. And most importantly, just do it. Just do it, follow through with it, time batch it, and pick your thing. For me, my thing for 2022 is I'm gonna, once again, my biggest thing is the reason I, like I said, I do the digital mayors is show people what I've done in the past. And what I'm gonna do and walk right beside you is I build online communities of like-minded people in a particular farm area, ideal clients, has nothing to do about real estate. And in turn, you get to hand-raising conversion tool events, and boom. Guess what? All of a sudden you have people that know, like, and trust you for what you do in the group. So you're trusted enough that when they have to make a big decision to buy or sell, they're going to utilize you. Okay? So just do it, commit to it for a year. Pick that one thing on each category, the one target market, the one product, the one conversion tool, the one traffic source, and the 1 year, and commit to it. And I promise you will have way more success than dabbling in all kinds of things, all different types of shiny objects, because in the real estate industry, there are plenty of shiny objects to take your money or waste your time. Okay? So, and the people that I see succeed the most, like literally some of the top producing agents, even in my area, I see what they do the most, how they, succeed the most, is because they do one or two good things nonstop. Like, there's one agent, he started off cold calling and door knocking, became really, really successful, and boom, built a really nice business with that. And then all of a sudden he just started switching over more sphere of influence. And still this day, they pretty much just focus on sphere of influence and probably close about 400 homes a year. Because they focus. They have 4 to 6 major events a year. They have a client newsletter. They go all in on this one thing. And it's wildly successful. So back in the day, he went all in on cold calling and door knocking and calling it, FSBOs and expireds. And that's what started developing his business. But the good thing too is, when we talk about, we can go a little bit more advanced, is when we talk about also traffic sources and stuff like that. Like if you're doing Facebook and you're doing it correctly, like in my case with Facebook groups and things like that, you can also start introducing omnipresence marketing, which in the fact that what that means is I can place a Facebook ad to the people that are part of my group. And because of the pixels on my site, whatever, I can also start displaying ads on Google and other things for them. So they see me all the way around everywhere around. So that's more of an advance, but that's also how powerful this thing is, because you can really, really dominate especially a digital farm area fairly quickly if you're doing it correctly and you're willing to spend money. All of this stuff goes a whole lot faster if you're willing to invest in yourself and spend some money, like say for Facebook ads or retargeting or remarketing, okay, or omnipresence or things like that. So that's what that's basically it. So with that being said, open up for questions, comments, feedback, anything. Melissa goes, do you suggest Facebook or over Instagram? So I suggest where the majority of your people are at. And I suggest one platform.
So Aaron,
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question on that you're asking. How would we determine where our avatar is, as an example? Like, what's the best way to do that?
Easy. Ask them.
Good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just like you take who your ideal client is. Let's say they're 25 to 35 and active, family, blah, blah, whatever. Just ask them, or if you have some former clients of yours that you really love working with, and that's kind of what your ideal client avatar wants to be, pick up the phone or send them an email. Hey, just wondering, what's your most favorite social media platforms that you're on right now? Oh, we love Instagram. Do you like Facebook? No, we totally got off Facebook. Okay, well, that tells me exactly where I need to go. Yeah, and Danielle, that's what I said. There's one exception to the rule. There are some ways, a little bit more advanced marketing, that you can repurpose your content so that you could utilize, like, say, your Instagram, your Facebook Reels your Facebook stories over to Instagram Reels and things like that. There are different things that you can definitely, this is annoying me. You can definitely repurpose. And there are ways, like through Zapier and IFTTT, that you can have that. If I make a Facebook post, it automatically shares to Instagram or whatever. There's different things like that you can do as well. Then that way you're still posting on one site, but you're getting the juice from multiple, or getting the building the audience. So yeah.
I'll read the questions to you in the chat, Aaron. In no particular order, but I have a question. This is a good question. Do you suggest Facebook over Instagram?
Yeah, that's one I just.
Oh, you just answered that. Okay.
Yeah, wherever your people are at.
What? So I think this is what do you do in your Facebook groups? Could you talk about that?
Yeah, in my Facebook groups. So a lot of it is, that's a great question, Jason. So I'm not posting all real estate stuff. In fact, I'm rarely posting real estate stuff. The stuff I post is, for instance, Saturday, Small Business Saturday. Here's a thread. You're not allowed to spam the group with your business postings or promotions throughout the week, but Small Business thread on Saturdays, Small Business Saturday. There's a thread there. Everybody can promote your own business within that thread. Tasty Tuesdays. What restaurants do you recommend? Or where you had a great experience at this week, or whatever you want people to know about. It's just theme. If you can create it simple by just having themes, because that's easiest enough to fill. Small. I mean, as far as maybe you do a podcast interview or like a video interview on StreamYard on Thursdays with a local business owner, and you stream that into the group. Like, all this stuff isn't about real estate, but it is about real estate because it's your brand and you're behind it. And the best part about it is when you own the media, you can own like the narrative of what's going on in that group. You can also take control over it. It's your rules, your way or the highway. So that's what I love about it, because sometimes you go in some of these other groups that you don't own, and it's like no promotion. Well, you can't ask people if they want to come to a home buyer seminar, but you can when it's your own group. So that's why I like owning the media and owning that stuff. And because it's just. And the other thing too is somebody might say, "Hey, Aaron, I've done Facebook groups before and they don't work because it's just so slow. It's me and my family, my 25 people of my friends and family, and there's nobody else. I can't get anybody in there." I am a huge believer in paid marketing to fill your group up until you don't need to do paid marketing. What I mean by that is pay to get people in through Facebook ads to get your ideal clients into your Facebook group so that you can market to them, but get it to a point you have 1,000, 2,000 people in there, because if you can do 1,000, 2,000 people and you can be consistent with your content and with your posting, it's gonna virally grow on its own at about 2,500 to 5,000 people. And then like I said, I know people that have groups right now of 60, 80,000 people. So,
all right, thank you, Aaron. Next question is from Daniela, and can you go into detail on this one, because it's so many doubters and so much it doesn't work. Her question is, do Facebook ads work?
The answer is no. They don't, because most agents suck Facebook ads. I mean, I have agents in my own market that I'm seeing their ads, and it's literally a Xerox copy of their business card and says, "Call me if you're looking to buy or sell." And that's the normal agent ad, or else they just literally put money behind their Facebook page with no rhyme or reason. Now, Facebook ads work really well if you're sending them to like landing pages, and everybody has landing pages in KV Core and things like that, as well as, or else you're giving them some sort of call to action. Okay. How many people do you think buy on the first time they see your Facebook ad?
Zero.
Yeah. And that's why either capturing their information so you can follow up with them, or getting them to a website that can pixel them and then you can remarket or retarget to them is incredibly important, because normally it's going to take 8 to 12 times before they're going to take any action on seeing your face in their feed. So they work for most agents. They don't work, and they complain they don't work. But the reality is agents don't know how to do them correctly, and then they end up spending a lot of money, wasting a lot of money through that experiment. But the biggest thing I'll tell you is make sure you have a call to action, have good copy, things like that, and either send them to a page to retarget, remarket, or to capture their information. Because if you're not capturing the information or getting something out of it, it's not worth spending the money on.
Thank you, Aaron. You scared me a little bit. I'm like, they don't, because they work for me. Jeez. So
then that's why, and honestly, Jerome, that's why I love like the digital mayor model, because like when we're paying for advertising, you know, for Facebook ads for real estate agents, it's expensive in most people's eyes, but it's cheap when you consider if you put $100 in, you get, you know, $1,000 back. I mean, it's, you know, you get that. But like with the digital mayor's model, because it's such a open-ended kind of topic and some community that people want to join, I mean, I have agents getting people joining their Facebook group stuff for pennies. So it's really cheap that way. A lot cheaper than real estate stuff.
So again, Facebook ads work as long as you do them right. And another thing that people don't do correctly is they're not consistent. They don't follow up. I think that is the most common issue that we have as business owners, period, is we expect people to do business like right away, the first or the second try. And if you follow up, you'll get business. Most people don't follow up with their advertising and their leads. And you can use Facebook to do that stuff. Facebook absolutely works. There is Facebook have what's called a ad library that does where you can go in and you can see all of the advertising that's actually working from Zillow, Realtor.com, other agents. One of the agents that I love to recommend that's here at EXP is Krista Mashore. Her ads are amazing. If you're like looking to do Facebook ads, go in and duplicate copy off of her. So I don't see any other questions, but Aaron, when you were presenting, you like, I think you missed a couple slides, and I think I want to bring up those slides again because you give a lot of great resources. Also, I want to mention, like, for our agents here, we got about 35 people. Last week when I was presenting, I had the realization that I'm trying to show people everything in one setting, and that's simply impossible. So one of the reasons why I constantly come back to these classes, including Aaron's classes, is because I pick up one thing at a time and then I'll go and implement that in my business. So if you're here, you want to come back, and you also want to tap into the other resources that are here, other trainings and other resources. That being said, Aaron, you had 2 slides that you didn't mention. One slide was the free resources. Could you talk about the free resources?
Oh, yeah.
So people can get access to that?
Yeah, we did miss one question. Maggie asked, which one do you recommend to start with, platform, whatever? And Beth Allen said, whichever one you like. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I think there's a mix. There's also a mix of the one where your people are at, as well as the one that you are most comfortable with. There's a big, because I might say that a lot of my people are on Pinterest, for instance, and I should be doing Pinterest marketing. I'm not a Pinterest person. I'm not going to do Pinterest, you know? So I think it's a combination of where your people are at as far as which one you're most comfortable with, and just find out the one that you like best. I mean, some of them have a bigger learning curve than others. You know, if you want to do YouTube's phenomenal, but there is a humongous learning curve for most people to do it correctly, and a lot of time invested. So, yeah.
Free resources, please, sir.
Yep. So if you just, I don't really have any quote resources, but if you just go to digitalmayors.com and put in your information there, you'll get updated when we have our next we're launching our next course next month, but we're launching it next week, as well as you'll just get occasional email from me with digital marketing resources and trainings and things like that, just to help you out. Because like I said, there's so many people that are on my list. Some are very seasoned agents, some of them are just brand new. So I just try to do a sprinkle a little bit, but but next week we're going to throw out the applications for the Digital Mayors course that starts on January 10th. And I'm really excited about it because this is where I spend 12 weeks with you, personally holding your hand, walking through, getting everything set up successfully and really well. And I'm really pumped because we're also giving the students free access for like 5 months to my brand new digital marketing automation software that will just skyrocket your lead gen if you do it correctly. So that'll start on January 10th, but yeah, we're going to open up applications next week. So digitalmayors.com, you go there, and yeah.
All right. Now, can you talk about the digital marketing mastermind, your class?
Oh, there we go. I touched on it briefly, but yeah, on Wednesdays in EXP University, Conference Hall 1, I do a weekly kind of discussion class on digital marketing. It's called the Digital Marketing Mastermind here in EXP University, and we have just about the same as here, like 30 to 50 people, typically on a week. And every Wednesday, we just talk about whatever is on people's minds. And I will tell you, people like Jerome's have been in the class for a couple of years. Nate Woolsey's in here. I saw a couple other people that are in the class yesterday, and they're coming here today because I was talking about this class in here today, and it's a great class. And the best part I like about it, even after I've taught it for 2.5 years, is just the fact that no 2 weeks are alike. I have no clue what's going to go on. I don't even know. There's not been many weeks where same questions have been asked week after week, because also the technology has been changing. You were talking about like the newest trends, the newest stuff and things like that. So yeah, it's just a great discussion every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time in the in EXP University Conference Hall 1.
All right. This is there's no link to the class, but could you tell? Well, Jackson, the way you get to that class is you just show up at that particular room, Conference Hall 1, on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I think Aaron's Central Time, so he says 11 a.m. We're all over the nation, but yeah, it's on the EXP calendar.
Yeah, and crazy enough, yesterday we
Conference
had
Hall
our first EXP agent that I've ever met from Ireland in there. And he actually said he is the first agent from Ireland in EXP. So it was awesome.
Other questions? Thanks, Nate, for dropping that link in there for Brennan. Who else has questions? No other questions. Maggie, Krista, Krista Mashore is her last name. I mean, do we have any other questions? If we don't have any other questions, we can end early, but we got about 13 minutes. And if anybody has any specific questions to their specific business or a specific obstacle that they need to eclipse, now is the time to ask.
Hi, this is Melissa. So I asked about the Facebook over Instagram, and I understand what you're saying about, asking people what they're on. So basically I'm trying to target my current neighborhood that we just moved into actually a few months ago. And I would say that there's a lot of people who have moved up here that are working fully remote. And I think the average age is ranging from like late 30s to 40s, a lot of families. So is there, I guess my long story short, is there a way to find out, and I know asking people, yes, but is there a way to find out, I know there's city demographics on like ages, things like that, but is there a way that you are able to look at analytics or some way to find out what people are mostly on, or is that just overthinking it a bit?
Yeah, you're somewhat overthinking it a bit, but I mean, just a simple survey or questionnaire that you either do, you send like maybe a postcard, say, hey, I'm really curious about our neighborhood demographics or whatever, because I think a lot of people work from home, blah, blah, send out either a questionnaire there. You could also run Facebook ads to people that are in that market or in your area and do a questionnaire there. It might be, and if you're talking about wanting to work with remote people, man, what's the number one thing that people that work remote miss the most?
The socialization.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So just coming off the top of my head, just thinking like when I talk about like building online communities or Facebook groups or things like that, is I might do a social meetup club for remote workers in my area.
That's a great idea.
So maybe it might start off like an online interaction or an online meet or Zoom meetings, whatever. But when things start opening up a little bit more, depending on your location or whatever, if they are still open up, say, hey, you know what? we're going to go do happy hour at this bar at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. Hey, we're going to do coffee on Friday at 9 a.m. if anybody can make it, or Saturday morning or something. Like arrange like small meetups with these people and build up that online community. And guess what? You're not talking about real estate, but you'll sell some real estate because of it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great idea, actually. Yeah, thank you very much.
I mean, I met a woman in my class about a month or two ago. I mean, she literally pulled 20 strangers up and invited them all for pizza and beer and sold 2 deals from it. They didn't talk about real estate, but it's just because she was the one that organized them. They knew it put her in a place of trust and knowledge and whatever. Then boom, she became the expert. Yeah, Nate put the one Pints and Properties is great. You know, they're doing great things, but yeah, you're just having no reason to. I mean, you're giving them a reason to meet up. But yeah, I think just the because like I said, my wife and I both work from home, and the social interaction, that's probably the number one thing we miss out on. And to have like some sort of remote social interaction, or some sort of like social club for remote workers, or social club for even adults, because how many adults that have kids? I mean, I would say probably a lot of you in here. How many of you that have families, have kids, especially, you know, elementary kids, how many of you have no social life, where you don't really have friends outside of the soccer field, you know, or whatever? I mean, there might be some sort of social club idea of like a farm area, build a social club of like in a farm area type deal.
That's great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Aaron, I'm thinking about like your strategy and like creating a group, and I just want to get your perspective, right? So, that was Melissa. She asked about, like, she was like, she's got like a pretty decent avatar. She's like 30 to 40, remote workers so basically they're millennials. In your perspective, right? This is what I'm thinking, and you tell me if I should shift it or if I should leave it the same. But I'm thinking about, like, if I was Melissa, I would create a Facebook group around basically they're millennials, so I would do a Facebook group for millennials that work from home remotely. Is that too niche, or should I expand it out and just call it the group in general, or should I target those millennials?
Yeah, I mean, might be a little bit too niche, but a lot of it depends on how much you want to niche down. I mean, honestly, I would rather, let's say you start because you're really into bicycling, for instance. Let's say you're really into bicycling, like, and you started a bicycling group for people that are just really super passionate bicyclists, and you get 125 people in there, and you're in there and every day, and you're talking bicycling. You're not talking real estate. You're talking bicycling. You're talking this, that. All of a sudden, you have a new listing. You put your new listing in there, blah, blah, whatever. Then you go back to talk about bicycling, this and that, whatever. You have 125 people in there. I guarantee you'll probably convert better than if you have a group of 5,000 people that you rarely converse in, or rarely like do any events in, or any kind of connection event type networking events. I guarantee you'll convert more than the 125. So numbers doesn't matter as much as connection does. Yes, you could go really niche and go really remote. My guess, what I would prefer to do, just because I like bigger numbers and then also more stuff, is I'd be more apt to create something that is more broad. So like, say, just a 34, like, you know, the social clubs for moms and dads, and niche it in the 30s, 30s and 40 years olds. Okay. And then maybe within that have a sub niche. Hey guys, we're going to have a meetup for those that work remotely that need a social hour, happy hour for remote workers. And you can do events to niche within that. So for instance, in mine, we're going to do, once we get it going, stuff like that, we're going to do niche based off of what sports teams do you like? Okay. Well, everybody likes Kansas City Chiefs. Well, there's a bunch of us that down here in Kansas City that like the Iowa State Cyclones in my area. Okay. So great. Maybe we might sub niche one out and have a watch party for 20, 30 of us, but there might be 5,000 in the bigger group. You see where I think that's more important to, make them feel, okay, let's take this back 100 steps. I will summarize it like this. I go to church at one of the biggest church, at the largest church in the world, or definitely in the United States. Okay. It is also one of the smallest churches in the United States, because we have a big congregation here, but we have multiple locations. But what's the most, how do people feel most connected within our church? It's not because of the head pastor. It's not because of the church, the big church, or worship service or whatever. A lot of times it's because of the small life groups or small groups they're a part of. Okay, so consider that like your thing. Like your community might be the big thing, the church, but really where people are gonna get the most out of and the most connection out of is these like little small groups, these life groups, these little life groups of people that they can do, that they didn't even know, these strangers that they have a lot of similarities to, that they can do life together with. And guess what? Who was the rock star that introduced the two of them? Oh yeah, it was that real estate agent. Oh, by the way, we're looking at selling and upgrading our house. Who do we call? Well, the guy that we've seen in his face in the group, for the last 3 years, and it's connected us with so many people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it just doesn't really matter. And somebody put it in engagements over followers. Yeah, I mean the biggest thing is as long as you're engaged, engage. But I mean, in the end, man, throwing parties and throwing networking events and happy hours is a heck of a lot more fun than cold calling and door knocking. Anybody agree with me? Or do you guys all like cold calling and door knocking? Everybody except Nate Woolsey. Nate Woolsey likes cold calling and door knocking. Yeah. Despite the highest frequency of posting, the real estate industry has the lowest engagement rate. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, Jerome. And the reason I say that too is how many of the agents in your area have that? The only posts they do other than the whole patting themselves on the back because they closed a deal or their newest listing, the only other posting they're really doing or engagement they're doing is the same thing that all 14,000 other agents in your market are doing, which is their $29 subscription to Keeping Current Matters that automatically post for them on a weekly basis or daily basis or whatever. And you look at like everybody else, and there's nothing engaging about those posts. So yeah, the more engagement, the better. And there's things you can do with engagement. I mean, you can do posts like, well, Jerome is notorious for doing bad dad jokes, and he gets a lot of engagement off that. You can do stuff like, you can do not controversial stuff, but fun controversial stuff like, does pineapple belong on pizza? Questions like that will create engagement. Not all that stuff. So any advice on how to turn a Facebook group that was used for an online clothing boutique I ran and something that helped me with this career? I have about 2.5 members in the group, and I just haven't been posting because I overthink it. Maggie, the one thing I'll ask, the one thing I will recommend to you, you can pivot this really quickly, is there a common theme of the people that are in that group, or a common like age group or demographics, or is there anything common about the people that are in that group? Being a hot mess express. That's awesome. I love that term, hot mess express. Yeah, you can pivot. A lot of it just depends on what your goals are, what you want to do. Is it in your area? Is it is it a local one or something like that? Because if it's local, go ahead.
It is local. My boutique was a trailer that we would take around, but it's also United States. So I'm trying to, I have an email list from it that has about 1,500 Colorado-based emails, and I have a lot here with this, and I don't know how to use it properly or how to pivot it.
Yeah, and where are you located at, by the way?
Colorado.
Okay, so you have about 1,500 email addresses in your area, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think really for you is you could pivot it. Yeah, you could pivot it fairly easily. A lot of it depends on what you want to do. Like, how do you want to pivot it? Do you want to still stay in the clothing stuff, or do you want to pivot it into clothing plus something else? Or
well, I mean, it almost became like a lifestyle group, which I'm fine with. Just women connecting with me, women connecting with other women. I'd like to turn it into this thing where I now, because I already have their trust. I think they did trust me. They were purchasing from me, and I would like to take that trust from one area to another area, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and you no longer have the boutique, right?
No, I do not.
Okay, so here's my thought off the top of my head, just like the 10 seconds we've had to converse. I'm thinking you could pivot this just a bit. You could like do the group like the Hot Mess Express. I think that's a brilliant branding move. I think it's a brilliant group name. And maybe the Hot Mess Express of Colorado or something like that. And then from there, you could do like say theme days, like I'm talking about, but maybe one of your theme days is a clothing swap and shop thread. Hey, guess what? You have clothes you want to sell? Throw them in this thread. And then people message each other or with prices, whatever, and they'll do that. You could turn your whole thing into a clothing exchange if you want to. You could create a separate subgroup off that. This is a clothing exchange, but this is more of a lifestyle group. There's so many different things you could do. Now also Facebook is with the new Facebook groups that are rolling out. They're also allowing you to do subgroups as well. So maybe make the clothing one subgroup. So you still have a bond to that quote clothing and it's members supporting members, but you can kind of pivot it into more of a lifestyle and / home interior decorating. I mean, / like I said, just women's stuff that audience would love.
Thank you. So we are officially at 3. That's when our class officially ends. However, normally Aaron likes to go into overtime. So if you want to stay for overtime and ask some questions and do some masterminding, you are free to do that. But 3 o'clock was the official end. I want to thank Aaron for coming in, and I'm pretty sure he's going to stay here. I'm going to stay here for another probably 30 minutes or so too. But everybody else that's been here, 3 o'clock was the official end, and you are free to go if you would like. Aaron, back to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Jerome. Yeah, no, guys, like I said, this stuff makes me so excited. Like when we talk about building communities and that type of stuff, because this is like, I like fun stuff. Man, I owned an entertainment company for 20 years. There weren't too many parties that I went to that I absolutely hated, or hated. Now, there was a lot of Saturday nights I would have rather been home with my family, but there wasn't too many Friday nights. I mean, too many nights that I wasn't having a blast. And that's where I want to, that's where I want my business to be. That's where I want your business to be. This business can be a brutal business if you're just sitting there, trying to, make deals. Especially last year, man, if you didn't have fun last year, you're probably out of the business now. Because if you're showing, 100 houses to clients and losing out on 42 offers, that's not fun. You're probably decided to move careers, so yeah.
Aaron, I don't know if she left already, but was that Maggie that talked about the list? From Melissa.
That was talking about what?
The list of 1,500 in Colorado?
Oh, that was Maggie.
Maggie. Okay, Maggie, you have a list. That's probably the most valuable thing in your business, that list. And there's a way for you to get that list uploaded to Facebook and market to them that way too.
Yes.
Oh, that's smart too. Okay.
Yeah, because you can do retargeting and remarketing to them based off that list. And I'm just putting the link in there for anybody. If you want to go to digitalmayors.com and, like I said, sign up for the list, we'll send you free how-tos, free articles, free whatever. And also, like I said, if this community building stuff interests you and you potentially are interested in the 12-week course where we set up all your opt-in pages, your Facebook ads, things like that, your groups and branding and all that stuff, just go ahead and fill out that form there. So.
Maggie, the where you would want to do the research is like a custom audience. You want to get into the custom audiences, and you just want to get that list uploaded, and you can start to target those people that way. So that's another way that you can target them because you have that list. That's one of the toughest things in business overall, is to build a list. But once you have a list, like 1,500, or so, you can do a lot with that particular list.
Yeah, and the other thing too, Maggie, I don't know where you're at financially, but maybe not right now, but down the road, you also have a prime group as you grow this. You have stay-at-home moms that are in your group that would love to do something for 2 to 6 hours, a day or a week or whatever. That if you down the road need help with your social media, or like you need somebody just to focus on Instagram because you're just on Facebook running the group, stuff like that. You have all those people built in, ready, full workforce ready to work for you if you start getting so busy, doing real estate or other things, whatever. So that's one of the advantages of having that demographic in your market as well. Believe me, I've hired many of them. So, in fact, one of the agents that I'm working with, and he has over, I think, just under 1,000 people in his group right now. He has 2 stay-at-home moms working for him, about 10 hours a week, and one goes out and takes pictures of the cities, and one does all the posting and the ads and stuff like that. And he doesn't do anything. He literally just kind of approves the content and takes it from there with the hand raising posts and things like that. So. All right. Olivia, get on the microphone.
All right.
I don't have time to read this novel you
Gotcha.
So, all right. So link building, community, cooking, real estate. I get the Facebook group can be a great engagement. And I'm wondering if Meetup would also be utilized with it. I just know I'm feeling iffy on Meetup. Okay. Awesome. So let's talk through it. You know what? I'll be nice to you and give you the therapy session without the fee of a therapist.
Okay.
Today's your lucky day.
I appreciate it.
So let's talk about your feelings. Let's talk about what you're feeling. Let's talk about what you're thinking, and we can kind of go from there.
Just from a standpoint of me using Meetup, I know I don't always go. Most of the time, I don't go. I look at events and I kind of mentally bookmark places I might visit eventually, but I don't. Usually something else comes up and I don't commit to going. But I know that.
let me tell you one of the problems is though.
Mm-hmm.
The reason you don't do those meetups or go to those meetups is because you feel like you have no clue who people are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know for a fact that like on Facebook groups, when you've hung out with people virtually, and there's many real estate groups I've hung out virtually for like 3, 6, 12 months, and you've conversed with them virtually, I've been one to hop in the car and drive 14 hours away to go hang out with people for a few days that I met that I had never known before. I think that part of the issue is when you're doing the cold, hey, that meetup looks cool, but I don't know anybody. I have no connection, whatever. But if you're connecting with them online and kind of, that's the icebreaker, you're warming them up, and now you feel like best friends online, it's really easy to make that transition. Hey, do you want to go out and do a cooking seminar? Do you want to go do this? Do you want to do that? You want to do the meetup? That's a whole lot easier than doing the meetups cold. So continue.
That makes sense. I guess just because I just today, after going to the earlier content creator mastermind of figuring out like what I want to be known for, as I'm new to the market, but something I think is really important. I just moved to a state, and that's a lot of people's reality. So I kind of want to target a place where I know of building community where I live and kind of exploring the city. So my first thought was go the blog route, Facebook group route of like learning a place, highlighting places that are cool that I checked out. And so then listening here, I was like, okay, how can I take the engagement further? So it's just more so a lot of ideas and wondering if Meetup needs to fall into place as well.
Olivia, have you started documenting your story?
Documenting? No, I hadn't really documented my story of moving here.
You should. One thing people love is they love to kind of learn about your story and whatever, it's an emotional connection. So what you're talking about right now, I would start documenting that. And yeah, you can go, we do the content creators, we do the blogging. You can do that. You can write it all out. But what would be probably more efficient and effective would be a video.
Mm-hmm.
A video of your
Okay.
story, talking about, and be honest, be genuine. Don't act like you were some professional and you knew it all. Or if you did know it all, that's okay too. But be genuine, be honest, so people can start to understand and connect with your story. That's a way for them to connect. Because what you're telling, like, I haven't moved yet, but you have a pretty decent story. So start to document your story.
Okay, and Olivia, just give me the short version of it. What's your story? I must have missed that part.
I didn't really go into the story on here, but I moved to Maryland a year ago, and I was working as a real estate administrator when I first got here, and now I'm transitioning into a buyer's agent here. I technically don't live in Maryland. I live in Virginia, but when you live in the DMV, you live in 3 places at once. So just trying to figure out how to make that make sense, because I know some people want someone who knows the lay of the land completely, and I don't want to put a target on my back for not being a local as well. I guess is why I haven't documented my story as much.
Yeah. So that doesn't, I mean, in 2021, the amazing thing is you can look like a local without being a local. That's why you see a bunch of these bigger teams, like they have expansion teams where it's like they're based out of Colorado, but they have a Florida expansion team, you know? So here's what I'll tell you though, and here's what I'll encourage you is, you know, one of the bigger Facebook groups we have in Kansas City is called Kansas City Eats, and it's basically just nothing but a Facebook group of foodies. And they do you know, restaurant reviews, not bad, but just recommendations. People are like, hey, you know, my wife, you know, it's her birthday, she wants to go out, and then people, you know, chime in, go here. They started a podcast where, you know, they interview like, you know, chefs or restaurant owners, and that's all done virtually. It's not like, you know, it's all done on StreamYard and things like that. And they have an incredibly engaging community. And if you created something like that in your area, where people can come around and come along for the cooking or the eats types of concept or whatever, you can break that into, hey, recommendations, or, you know, interviews with chefs or interviews with restaurant owners, because guess what, restaurant owners are really, really struggling right now, and for you to come and kind of help promote them for nothing and stuff like that would be a huge asset to them, as well as it's easy, you know. If you had 2 groups, one talking about real estate and one talking about going out to eat and food, which one do you think would be way more popular and have 5,000 people first?
The food.
Yeah, absolutely. The food group. So it's going to be easy to attract people into that food group. And with you looking at like the expert and the, you know, kind of the foodie in the group and the kind of the gatherer of, then the natural thing is you go to what a good friend of mine just recently did, and I'll be implementing too. It's called the $100 dinner, where you get a group of people and maybe 20 people, and the only requirement, you guys go to a local establishment, but the only requirement is everybody on that table has to donate $100. Okay. And you take that $100, and so in that case, easy, simple math. In that case, you take the $2,000 that you've had, which is $100 on top of your food bill, and that 100% goes to the waitress.
Oh, wow.
So, like, and you can do like little breakout events like that from that, but your just general online thing is around food and cooking, and maybe you do a cooking segment virtually or something like that. So, and that's why we come down to Corey. How much time is spent building and growing these groups and creating content? Corey, that's why I say you need one platform, because you literally could spend as much time as you want talking about what I'm doing. I mean, doing what I'm talking about right now. You know, if you're talking about interviews with chefs, interviews with, you know, cooking stuff, meetups, you know, content inside the group, connections, blah, blah, networking, whatever. I mean, you can spend as much or as little time doing it, you know.
Sure. The question came up because, like, I'm brand new to real estate, but I'm spending a lot of time showing houses and you know, sitting open houses and stuff like that. And you get a lot of mixed feedback. Oh, showing houses is a waste of time, whatever, right? And I look at this, like, I'm in the middle of developing a podcast, video podcast for basically my life. Like, it's going to involve real estate, but it's going to involve a lot of other content as well. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I'm simply going to be a content creator. Like, when's there time to sell real estate if I'm doing all, you know, if I'm creating all this content and putting it out there, just trying to build a brand. So I was just wondering, like, realistically, how much time are we spending creating
realistically,
content?
Realistically, when you're talking about a podcast, realistically, content batching is going to be your best friend. So what I want you to do is I want you to say on Mondays, On Mondays, I don't show houses on Mondays. Okay, or I at least don't show houses until 4 o'clock, because Monday for 8 hours, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to knock out all my content for the month.
Got it. That makes sense. That's I do that. So marketing Mondays is what I have, and I spend all day
Yep.
Monday just focus on marketing. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you have to
and-
show a couple of houses, just make it later on in the day.
sure.
And furthermore, Corey, a lot of this is you don't have to do it like daily or nothing like that. Aaron just mentioned content batching. So you can
Yeah.
schedule a lot of this out. Like you can take marketing Mondays and then you can do like, I don't know, time to schedule Tuesdays or something like that. And you schedule everything on Tuesday and you're good for the entire week or maybe entire 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I just try to document life, right? But it turns out I need new friends because it drives my friends nuts. They're like, "You're filming again?" So
Yeah.
Your friends are one thing and customers are another. So I would be mindful of the feedback that I'm getting from friends.
sure, that's good. That's good perspective. Appreciate that.
Could I share
Awesome.
an idea I got for Olivia?
Go ahead. Scoot on back.
So, Olivia, I the Facebook page or the group, whatever you do, and I would probably do Facebook page. Maybe you do a weekly live video where you're cooking an item, but you're talking about real estate. That's my idea.
Yeah, that's good. The only thing I would caution you about is I would get a page to have a page, but I would build everything out within the group, because your group
Yes.
is going to get 100 times more engagement than a page over will. But you're
Yeah,
going to
if you
want the
have
page for
you
branding
can share
purposes,
it in
and
the group.
you're going to want the page. You're going to want the page for branding purposes as well as for Facebook ads.
Okay, that all makes sense. Both the video, because I know I follow someone on Instagram who she's a lawyer and she cooks and talks about things that she's going through while cooking. So I definitely get.
So something really
Get that
quickly I want to
content
bring
idea.
up. I want to bring up really quickly because I don't think we remember how important emotional connections are. So I think it was Maggie, but Maggie talked about like her moving and being lost and how that feels to move to like another state. That's a whole new niche, and I think there's something there. If you could kind of like hone in on that, that matters. You can see, who was it? Somebody's like, I felt the same way. That key word, I feel. So don't like, be mindful of that feeling. Like other people want to feel and connect with that, even if they haven't moved themselves. They've been in that state before, right? Like I was a child at one point. Like that made me think of when I was all the way back in kindergarten. I'm 30 something years old now, but I was all the way back in kindergarten and I moved to like a new school. That was an emotional connection. So like telling your story like in that way, I moved, you didn't tell much of it, but you told like the basis. I moved and I was, I'm trying to figure things out. That is something that people connect with online. So keep that in mind to be able to tell your story. It's also a something that makes you unique. It's not a USP, but it's something that makes you unique and helps you stand out a little bit more, because people can tell their story through your story. And by you talking about that moving, even though I haven't been to like another state and had to move, I still was able to align with those emotions all the way back in kindergarten. So keep that in mind. It's an essential part of your marketing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the other thing I'll say is, Corey had a class, need a master class on automation, Nate, you volunteering. Man, that would be the world's worst class ever because A, you're hoping everybody has technical ability as the presenter does, and B, you don't understand how many rabbit holes I go down with my ADD when I log into Zapier and start setting up automations and things like that. Yeah, that would be difficult.
Corey, go for it. Your question. Maybe Aaron can answer it too.
Sure. You were talking about documenting your story, and I think it was Olivia that you were talking to, where you said just put it in video. So you just record a whole video on your story just to kind of like catch people up, and then start with your other social media posts after that. So kind of like everybody's got your story, or what?
Yeah. So
kind of unpack that a little bit.
yeah, I got you. The main reason why I'm talking about documenting is because we don't want to get because she might forget, or that story might not be available later. And one of the things I like efficiency. So her story is still kind of fresh from my perspective, is what it seems. So I would record it immediately and get it on video. I like to market my videos, but I would get it on video. And once you have it on video, you can do other things with it, right? You can then write a blog about it. You can then turn that blog into, like, I don't know, some kind of guide on how to move out the city. You can do so much other stuff with it by telling your story. And then for you, like I was talking to Olivia, but you have a story too. I don't remember exactly what it is, but you're talking about your life and your journey. People want to connect with that stuff, because if we're being honest here, none of us have, like, it's nothing exclusive about us. We all have real estate license and we can all do the same thing. So now it's a determinant of who is different and why do I want to go with this person? What's different about them? We all have a real estate license and we can all do a transaction. That professional part is a given. But what's going to help me stand out and differentiate me from other people? And it might be Olivia's moving story. Somebody might identify with that more than they identify with me being a real estate investor. These stories is what's going to help you be different and stand out. So the reason why I said video is because I like efficiency, and the quicker you can get your message out, we talk way faster than we type. The quicker you can get that out, the better it is, and then you can start to do a bunch of other stuff with it. Additionally, if we're talking about the furthermore, like the emotional connection and the psychological connection, if y'all join that Facebook group there, we did a presentation on video, like the importance of video communication, and I'm going to butcher this definition and the claims in the comments, but like video communication is the first media where we feel like we're connecting with an actual person. So our brain has us thinking that we're actually connecting with people when we're watching video, compared to all of the other forms of media. So I like video because it's multi-purpose. You can do so many things with it. That's why I was telling her, do your story, even her voice, right? Maybe it's just her voice that I identify with. Maybe I don't know, but that's why I like the video. That's why I said video and document your story, because sometimes we always, I just shared the link. Video, real estate is the least engaging content on social media. So how can we still talk about real estate, or how can we still relate to people? Well, I can tell my story as an individual, right? And then maybe I can go and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Maybe I can tie in real estate somehow, but people they're not caring about our real estate content. They're caring more about our stories and that unique content that they can't get from anywhere else.
Yeah, I guess my question, my hesitation has been of
Don't
how
hesitate.
to package it. Because
Don't
I felt like,
so I like I told my story a little bit, like I'm a high D. I like results. So you can't hesitate.
Yeah.
You just got to do it, and then you do it again. All right, so I did this. I got a video. It's 3 minutes. What do I do with it now? You improve that video. Maybe next time it's going to be 5 minutes. But hey, Aaron. Killing me, Aaron. So Olivia,
I know. I'm sorry about that. I tried muting myself and YouTube went off on a tangent.
Olivia, what you do is the biggest mistake you're making is hesitating. What you do is you produce, and you get it done, and then you keep improving on what you have already done. You add to it every single time. You add to it. Video 1, oh my God, I was stuttering. I was saying all type of stuff. I stuttered 5 times. Well, next time, video 2, you only stutter 4 times. Video 3, you only stutter 3 times, and you just keep improving. It's not going to be perfect on the first try. So unpackage it, regardless of what it is or what you think. Just do it, and then always improve.
I gotcha. As a high C, the caution definitely comes out at times, but I definitely can take that to just go start and tell the story.
Yeah, just do it. So when are you going to do it?
I'm going to make a video today.
Okay. Can you send it in the Facebook group to us? Can you send it to us?
Yeah.
Okay. What time?
I will have the video done by 5 p.m.
Okay.
Eastern.
All right. I'm going to reach out to you. You on Workplace?
Yeah, I'm on there.
All right. I'm looking for that video. Let's get it done.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being brave.
Thank you
Boom,
for
look at that.
the push.
Yep, you're welcome. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So don't worry about it. Version 1 is better than version none. Right? Like I teach like I have a video presentation and I always talk about the amount of agents, is less than 10% of agents doing video. We see a lot of videos out there and all this stuff. Like, how do we separate ourselves? Well, one of the best ways to separate yourself is to start instantly doing that video, because less than 10% of those agents are doing video. Every time I ask, right, it's less than 10% of the classroom. And there are people that are way smarter than me that have done surveys, but it's less than 10% easily. So that's one of the ways you separate yourself. And yeah, you don't have to join the group, Olivia. That's completely up to you. I'll share a link to it. You can join it, but I do want you to create that video so you can start to get in that process of unpacking and start your marketing so you can have success. All right.
Hey, I'd like to give an encouraging word.
This and yeah, go for it, Levi. Levi is one of my favorite people. Levi is an action taker and he implements. So go for it.
Yeah, hey, I am terrified. Before I started this class, I was terrified of video, never did much on live. Tomorrow, I do a regular meetup with a couple other agents who I get along with. They're real cool people. And I make it a habit of making a video with somebody that knows me and we get along and there's chemistry there. Because when I do it by myself, it's a little bit more awkward. But when I do it with somebody that's fun with me, they're fun, we're bouncing off stuff and we're laughing, maybe we stutter. It's a lot more comfortable. I don't know if that helps.
Definitely helps.
Oh, I
Definitely
definitely
helps.
have heard that. That makes it so much easier.
And don't so like part of what Levi is saying, like, take the spotlight off of you. Don't put the spotlight on the other person because you still want some branding, but don't feel obligated that you have to do everything, and don't feel like it has to be super professional, right? One of the things that we talked about in the video marketing class, Nick Niehaus, video school, is it's communication. It's not always marketing. So you can make a simple one-to-one video talking to one individual, right? Let's say, for example, I wanted to tell Levi something. Well, I can make a video and tell Levi this one thing in that video. And it's not important that I look professional and I'm all buttoned up and I'm not stuttering. It's important that I'm in that behavior of actually creating that video communication and send that video. It's the behavior, because now, okay, I've done one before, right? I've done one before and it was one-to-one. It was in Levi's inbox, but next time I might be brave enough to send it to another person. And then next time after that, I might be brave enough to post it on social media. I might post it with my eyes closed or something like that, but I still post it. It's the behavior and the process that's more important.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not really scared of video. I was more so scared of the personal aspect. I had put less value on what I had gone through and I've been making videos directed towards buyers, but like you said, it's not as a more so a practice of getting up and talking about real estate and getting better at working on it. So I've been making those types of videos.
Oh, so
But
you
the
already got
push
some
is
videos.
Yeah, I have videos. It's
Okay,
just
can
I
you share
hadn't been
some with
personal
us?
with it. Mhm.
Where are they?
Yeah, I can. They're on my Instagram.
Okay. Share your Instagram so we can hit you up.
Okay.
But yeah, just make it more, because it's like we swear, it's like, oh my God, come buy and sell with me, and it's nothing unique about that, and people don't care. And I just shared that article, and it's the least engaging content. Real estate is the most shared, it's the most active type of content, but it's the least engaging content. That says a lot.
Mm.
We market, we post so much as real estate agents, and nobody's paying attention to us in that respect. It's like, nobody cares. And it makes sense because this is the largest transaction of someone's life. They're not going to, it's a huge transaction. You move what, every 5 to 7 years? So it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Yeah, share your personal story. Moving, that like how feeling lost and all those feelings and emotions, that's vital. That's important. People will identify and connect with that.
Thanks so much. I feel like I got a lot in the time of being here already.
You're welcome. You are very welcome. Come back.
I'll definitely be back. I'll put it on my calendar as a recurring meeting that I must attend.
Aaron, you got anything else? We got about 2 minutes.
Man, I don't, man. If anybody has any more questions, glad to answer them. But yeah, man, it's been awesome.
Thanks,
It's
Aaron.
been awesome
Really
hanging out with
appreciate
you
you.
guys.
Can you please promote the digital marketing mastermind once again? That's an important class. It's vital to my success as well. And
Yeah. So like Olivia said, you put it in your calendar and make it a recurring event, and it happens. That's exactly what I do every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 Central, 12 Eastern, in the EXP University Conference Hall 1. We do the digital marketing mastermind every Wednesday. It's what we've done basically the last 45 minutes to an hour here, just the Q&A, the bouncing ideas off. That's exactly what we do each and every Wednesday. There's no I don't do slides. Jerome has some slides sometimes. He has open conversation sometimes. Ours is strictly is no slides. It's just conversation and question Q&A. People coming up with ideas. People conversing over all kinds of digital mayor stuff. But yeah, it's every week on Wednesdays, and we don't take weeks off. The only 2 weeks a year off I get are EXP Con and EXP Shareholder Summit. Last year I got Christmas and New Year's off, I think it was. But this year they don't fall on my day, so I don't get them off this year. So literally we're there 50 weeks a year, every single Wednesday, never miss a week. Because last year I thought the week between Christmas and New Year's was going to be dead, because I'm like, I don't know if I should do it, because even EXP's like, do you want to cancel? You want to cancel? I'm like, I don't know. I ended up doing it, and we had over 100 people that week versus the normal 20 or 30 we have, 40 we have. So it was a good deal. So.
Thanks, Aaron. Really appreciate you. For anybody else, you can catch us on Workplace. You can catch us in these trainings. We got Facebook groups. We got all type of resources. Reach out anytime. We'd be glad to help you. That being said, class is officially dismissed. Thank you so much, Aaron. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Levi, thank you, man. I appreciate you so much, Levi. You are great.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate
Yep.
it.